At Right Build Scale, we're about to cross 1,000 paid subscribers on Substack, and in this video, I'm going to show you exactly when to turn on paid subscriptions if you're not sure yet. And let me tell you right away, most advice about this topic is completely wrong because it misses the fact that there are multiple approaches that make sense. The most common advice you'll hear on this subject is provide value first or wait until you have an audience. But here's what nobody mentions. I have seen writers with 50 subscribers making $500 a month and writers with 5,000 subscribers making nothing. The difference isn't necessarily the audience size. It's understanding the three completely different monetization strategies on Substack and picking one that matches your actual life situation, not some guru's template. My name is Sinem Günel, and as I'm recording this video, my publication Right Build Scale is probably days away from hitting 1,000 paid subscribers on Substack. In our publication, we share our best practices, templates, frameworks, and exact systems on how to start your Substack publication, grow your audience, and successfully make money online by sharing your knowledge, ideas, and expertise. And one of the questions we hear about all the time is when to go paid. And after coaching hundreds of writers, analyzing dozens of successful publications, and testing multiple different approaches myself, I'm going to show you exactly when you should flip that switch on. By the end of this video, you will know exactly which of the three monetization timelines fits your situation, how to avoid the paid content death spiral that kills most newsletters, and the specific numbers that will tell you it's time to actually start charging for your work. So, when should you turn on paid subscriptions? This is one of the most common questions in my inbox, and every expert gives you a different answer because they're answering for their situation, not yours. But the truth is, there are actually three completely different models that you can think of. Model one is what we call the immediate monetizer. In this case, you turn on paid from your very first post. This is the donation jar, or like a buy me a coffee approach. Model 2 is what we call the strategic launcher. In this case, you build initial momentum with 100 to 500 subscribers, then launch paid with fanfare and exclusive content. This is what we did at Right Build Scale when we joined Substack in 2024, and we mapped out the exact launch timeline in our bestseller guide. You can find the link to this free PDF in the description box below. And model 3 is what we call the audience builder. In this case, you focus purely on growth first with over 1,000 subscribers, and then you monetize once you have a critical mass. Now, each model has winners making 6 or even 7 figures, and each model has people who crashed and burned. The difference between the two is that they picked the right model for their unique situation. And here's what actually determines your timeline. First, your financial runway. Can you write for free for 6 months? Then your content type. Is it naturally exclusive or is it broadly valuable? The next point is your time availability. Can you even create 2 content streams, free and paid? And then there is your growth strategy. Does your content have viral potential, or is it more that you're building on a steady basis? And what's your audience's expectation? Did they find you through your free content in the first place? And would they be disappointed when your content is now locked? Now let me show you how each model actually works. Let's dive into model 1, the immediate monetizer. This might shock some viewers, but some of the most successful Substack writers actually turned on paid subscriptions before they had a single subscriber, simply because they built their publications with this model in mind. This approach works if you are already known elsewhere on platforms like Twitter, LinkedIn, or YouTube. It also works if you're writing very niche content with specific industry insights, and it's perfect if you need accountability to actually stay consistent with your work. Plus, it's ideal if you're treating this as a tip jar and not your primary income. Now, here's the key for this donation psychology. You're not selling exclusive content, you're selling support. Your messaging should be everything I write is free, and if you want to support this work, you can become a paid subscriber. Think of it as buying me a coffee each month. The beauty of this model is that you never really have to launch or market your paid tier. It's just always there. The downside, of course, is that this is not necessarily the most lucrative or promising monetization method. But if you do decide to follow this model, here is your playbook. You turn on paid subscriptions immediately at $5 to $8 per month. And you set a clear expectation. All content is free, Paid is just optional support for the creator. Now, as a bonus, you can add a founding member tier at a higher rate, like $150 per year for super fans who might get something extra if they join that particular tier. In this case, you have to focus 100% of your efforts on free content quality, and you only mention the paid option a few times per month quite softly. Now on to model 2, the strategic launcher. This is my favorite model for most writers because it's also what we did at Write Build Scale and what we know works really well. When we joined Substack, we spent a lot of time understanding the platform, the dynamics, and then we launched our paid tier with a big promotional event. In our case, it was a big bootcamp with several live events that we hosted for our paid subscribers. This was a fantastic opportunity to promote our paid tier for the first time because only our paid members were able to attend these events live, and they also got access to the replays. It helped us instantly gain our first 100 subscribers and receive the first bestseller badge. Now, when you follow this approach, you want to have at least a couple hundred subscribers on your list, and you want to make sure that they are really engaged and interested in your work. You need enough people to take you up on the offer to justify that you are now showing up to create exclusive paid content regularly. But of course, you will first have to build momentum, social proof, and trust for at least a couple of weeks. More realistically, a couple of months before you can launch your paid tier like this. Now let me briefly break down the timeline for you if you decide to go for the strategic launch formula. In week -4, you can already start with a soft prep. You can mention that you're thinking about paid options and ask what readers would want. You can build anticipation without actually committing. 2 weeks before, you can focus on the value bomb. You can publish your best free content ever, show what you're capable of, and get people hooked on your insights. 1 week to go, you start with the announcement. You say something like, next week I'm launching paid subscriptions, and explain exactly what paid members will get. Create FOMO and also think of the founding member pricing. In the launch week, you will go full press. On Monday, for example, you can launch your announcement with a special offer. On Tuesday, you can share a case study or a success story. This could also be your own, showing what your work will do for your readers. On Wednesday, you can focus on behind the scenes of what you're building. You can share your ideas of what you're going to put behind the paywall. On Thursday, you can rely on social proof with testimonials and early feedback. So are there any comments or conversations you've had with early readers? And on Friday, you can basically announce that it's the last chance to get into the paid tier for a special rate with a discounted rate, or maybe you've been giving away a bonus. Like in our case, it was the bootcamp, which was happening live. Now, before we move on, I want to quickly talk about something that a lot of people actually get wrong when it comes to paid content. It's the content split strategy. You don't want to create completely separate content streams. That would be an overwhelming amount of work for most creators if you're still doing this on the side besides your day job and other responsibilities. Instead, do this. Give away the what and why of your content for free, but put the specifics and the action steps behind the paywall. So in our case, we might write an entire article describing a strategy that goes out to all our subscribers, but at the bottom of the article, our paid subscribers will get access to a link that sends them to a Google Doc, for example, where they see the exact template or a step-by-step AI prompt that will help them use the knowledge themselves. Free readers get the value, but paid readers get the transformation. Let's move on to model number 3, the audience builder. Sometimes the smartest move is to wait, but not for the reasons you might think. So who should wait? You should wait with your paid tier if you're creating viral, shareable content. You should wait if you're building a media empire, not just a newsletter. You should also wait if you have other income streams already mapped out and built. You should wait if you are playing for massive scale with 100,000 plus subscribers, for example. In these cases, it might make sense to wait before you think about the paid tier. When you have 1,000 plus subscribers, you can do something special. You can do what we call the survey launch. Ask what price your audience would be willing to pay and what content they would want. You can do a beta group invite. For example, invite 50 people to your paid beta group at 50% off. You can rely on social proof, use your beta testimonials for a public launch, and you can do a tiered release. You can stagger access to create urgency. When you launch your paid tier with a minimum of 1,000 subscribers, it's easier to actually get feedback and gain more than just a few paid subscribers in your first promotion. Now let's get to what I personally think is the most important and underrated monetization strategy. Some writers never charge on Substack directly. Instead, they use Substack for audience building with free content, then sell courses for $200 to $2,000, offer coaching, or create communities that charge per month on different platforms. In fact, even though we are about to hit 1,000 paid subscribers, we actually treat Substack as our discovery and growth channel ourselves, not our primary monetization method. Sure, we make money through paid subscriptions, but more importantly, we reach thousands of new readers every single month who wouldn't have found our work otherwise. And our paid tier really just serves as a natural selection process because our paid subscribers are our most loyal readers, and they are also the most likely people to buy our higher priced offers during our product launches. Now, before we move on, I also have to talk about a few dangerous traps that kill most paid newsletters to ensure that you don't make any of these mistakes yourself. What you shouldn't do is turn on paid subscriptions too early, because this will force you to come up with paid content while it's actually not really worth creating it for just a handful of subscribers who pay you. Because usually this is what happens. You turn on paid too early, maybe with under 100 subscribers. You get a handful of paid subscribers. You feel responsible to create exclusive content for them because they are paying you. So you start to spend 50% of your time writing for these 5 people. Now, naturally, your free content quality drops because you have less time for it. Your growth stalls, and in the worst case, your few paid subscribers cancel because they lack community connection and the quality they expected. And as a result, you burn out and you quit. I've seen this happen dozens of times. It's not a rare case. Now, there are a few different ways you can actually solve these problems, and here are just 2 of those ideas. First, the 20 subscriber rule. Don't create exclusive content until you have at least 20 plus paid subscribers. This is a simple rule. You can go up with the number if that feels better, but this should be a minimum number of paid subscribers you want. The second is the 80-20 content split. Put 80% of your effort on free content, 20 on paid extras. I actually see a lot of creators making the mistake of thinking their paid content is more important than their free content once they have a paywall, but that's not really true. Your free content is still selling your paid content. So if someone does not feel compelled to upgrade to your paid tier, it's probably because they are not loving your free content yet. Now let's talk about pricing for a minute. Everyone on Substack defaults to $5 per month because that seems affordable. But let's take a look at the numbers. If you have 100 subscribers at $5 per month, you have $500. 50 subscribers at $10 per month, also $500, and 25 subscribers at $20 per month, also $500. Higher prices usually mean fewer people to serve, which means more time for quality, which means higher retention. This is particularly true if you do want to have some personal interaction with your readers and if you want to offer direct support. Now, the sweet spot for most writers is around $8 per month or $80 per year. All right, now let's circle back. You've heard a lot about the paid tier by now. It's time to figure out your strategy based on a few simple questions. Question number 1, what's your financial situation? If you need income immediately, you need to go with the immediate monetizer model. If you can wait 3 to 6 months, you can choose the strategic launcher. If you can wait 12 plus months, you are an audience builder. Question number 2 is, what's your content style? If you write personal stories or general insights, go with the immediate monetizer and the tipping option. If you create specific tutorials or frameworks, you can choose strategic launcher or the audience builder. This also goes if you share industry insider information that is very specific. Question number 3 is, what's your growth trajectory like? If you have viral potential and shareable content, you can go with the audience builder model. If you have steady niche growth, you can go with the strategic launcher plan. If you believe that you have small dedicated audience potential, you have to go with the immediate monetizer and ask people to support your work simply because they want to. Question number 4 is, what's your timeline and availability? If you're a full-time creator, any model works. If you are working part-time with 10 plus hours per week, you can go with the strategic launcher model. If this is a side hustle with 5 hours per week, you need to choose the immediate monetizer or the audience builder model because that gives you more free time. Now, remember how at the beginning I said that most advice on this topic doesn't really make a lot of sense? That's because it doesn't take your circumstances into consideration. And even though I tried to map out 3 different approaches here, the truth is that you can mix and match. You can build your own hybrid approach that makes sense for you personally at your current stage. And ideally, this approach will help you build momentum and proof of concept and a sustainable growth trajectory for your publication. Now, if you clicked on this video, I actually have an assumption. I think what you actually came for is not necessarily the technical advice here, but permission that it's time to charge for your work. Now, consider this your permission slip. Your knowledge has value, your time has value, and your insights have value. Whether you charge on day 1 or day 365 doesn't matter. What matters is that you eventually charge for something because you are putting in work and time and effort. After everything I've shared, you need to answer one question. Am I building a hobby or a business here? If this is just a hobby, you can stay free forever, write whenever you're inspired. But business means picking a monetization model and executing. Both are valid. You don't have to make money through your writing, but be honest about which one you're choosing. Now, I have shown you 3 models here. I've given you the numbers, the frameworks, but here's the reality. The best time to start charging was yesterday. The second best time is to get started right away. We are about to cross 1,000 paid subscribers at Right Build Scale, not because we timed it perfectly, but because we started. We tested, we adjusted, we kept going despite failures and mistakes. And the writers making $10,000 per month on Substack right now aren't necessarily smarter than you. They just started charging before they felt ready, and they tweaked and they adjusted. So here's my challenge for you. Make the decision right now. Comment below with your choice. Are you going with the immediate monetization model, the strategic one, or the builder approach? Because monetization isn't about perfect timing. It's about having the courage to value your own work. So the question isn't, when should I charge? It's, when will I finally believe that I'm worth it and that my work is worth it? Now, if you're serious about building your Substack publication, I have 2 free resources for you. First, grab our free Substack starter kit, which includes templates, frameworks, and checklists to help you launch and grow your publication. The link is in the description box below. And if you want to learn how to actually grow your audience before you start monetizing, check out my video on how to use Substack Notes to grow your audience. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.